Hello everyone. Today we are going to start with the fifth unit of the transportation engineering, that is points and crossings. So what is this points and crossings? Okay, and why it is been used in the railway engineering? So it all comes through one question. Okay, before I ask you one question, we'll just try to understand how we will change the directions of the vehicles on the road, right? Okay, I'm asking this question to you. How do you change the direction of a vehicle on the roads? Obviously you will try to turn the steering or the handle of the vehicle so that your tire movement is there is a deviation of the uh, vehicle, so that it changes its path and change its direction towards whichever angle you want it to turn, right? This convenience, that turning of the steering wheel or the handle of the bike, is not convenience is not there in the case of railway, right? This is not there in the case of railways, because railway or the train moves over a specified distance of a rail, right? It is restricted. The lateral distance between the rails are been fixed, so you can't change laterally. You the can't turn the rails however the driver wants, right? Whatever the path is been given to him, on that he has to travel. He can only control the speed and the brakes. He can't control the direction of the train. So this is controlled by whom? By the station master. The directions are controlled by the station masters. If if a train, if the driver wants to go to some place, okay, to some X place, so what he can do is he can tell the station master. Then station master will change the path of it. How will change the path? Okay, by using these points and crossing devices. Okay, understanding what I'm saying, we can flexibly change the directions in case of the roads, because we have lateral movement, but this lateral movement is not there in case of the railways. So there are some devices and there are some arrangements made so that the train can change its direction or change its path, okay, so that it can move to the its specified destinations. Okay, so that arrangement and that procedure or the operation is called as points and crossings. Okay, so we'll come into the more deep what the points are, what are the crossings, what are its components. So we'll study all these things in this coming up chapter, right? Okay, so one more thing, the combination or the combination of points and crossings together. Okay, the combination of points and crossings provided to change the direction. Okay, understand, it is nothing. We'll come to what is point and what is crossings, but before that understand this, that what is turnout. Turnout is nothing but it is a combination of points and crossings together, okay, which is provided to divert or change the direction of the train. Okay, that is called as turnout. Okay, when you try to divert the train from the main line to the branch line, when you are turning, we are going to turn, we are not going to wholly turn the train. We are just trying to branch out to another road or a track from which the train will pass. If we directly turn the main track itself, then it becomes a curve, right? When you try to turn a straight path into a circular path, then it becomes a curved path, right? So same way, if you try to continue that same track into a curve or giving a deviation, it becomes a curve. So we don't want a curve here. We want to branch out another new track from the straight track. Okay, so that he can change the directions whenever he requires, and if you want to go straight, he can go straight by changing that arrangement. Okay, depending, that arrangement is controlled by the station master. Okay, that combination of points and crossings to deviate the to deviate from the main branch, from main track to the branch track, that is called as turnout. We'll understand everything here, okay, in the images. So I will try to explain you what is main and what is branch. Right, you can see this straight track going on, right? That track is called as main track. Okay, that track is main track, which is straight in directions. Okay, can you see this arrangement made here? Right, this arrangement, curved path of the track, and you are branching out a new track here with the help of the this main track. You are branching out a new track, right? So whenever a train wants to go through the branch curve, the movement has been done such a way that it moves on the branch curve, and whenever a train wants to move to the main or the straight track, then the arrangement is made by points and crossings that it moves in the straight directions. So the branched out point is called as branch track, and the straight and perpendicular track is called as the main track. You can see here, right? You can see it is written that it is main track. Okay, so the turnout is the simplest combination of points and crossings provided for diverting the train from the main track to the sliding or the branch track. So one more thing you have to understand, that another name for the branch track is slide track. Okay, next. Okay, now we'll understand what is points and what are crossings. Okay, points are the combinations of tongue rail and stock rails along with the necessary fittings are known as points or switches. It is not switched, it is switches. Okay, there is a mistake here. It is switches. Okay. So now you might say, what is tongue rail now and what is stock rail, right? So we in the next slide, itself, we have a picture. In that we'll be explaining what is point stock rail, what is point rail, what is wing rail, what is check rail. Okay, what is nose, everything will be told to you. Just understand that the combination of tongue rail and the stock rail, okay, with other fitted necessaries are together called as points or switches. Because this is a part where lot of students get confused with that, what is points and what are switches or the what are crossings. So just understand the combination of stock rail and the tongue rail with other necessary fitting arrangements is called as switches or points. Okay, next, crossing is a device which allows the crossings of the rails with each other without causing obstruction to the flange of the wheel. If you see in the previous slide, right, here there is an cut shown. If you can see here, you can at this point, you can see, right, and here there is a gap, right, and this is nose. So at this point, okay, these are the points where your flanges may get, the flanges of the wheel may get struck, right? So that there should not be obstructions to the flange, such arrangement is done, okay, such that it moves freely without any hurdles to it. Okay, that devices are called, that arrangements are called as crossings. Okay, that are called as crossings. Once again, the crossing is a device which allows the crossing of the rails, which allows because if we don't provide those gaps, we can't divert our rails, because it is not just only moving on the tracks, it is has a flange which is touching the side of the track, right? In the first unit of the railway engineering, I have told what is flange and what is the track, how it is, so how they are working. So in that you can understand that you can't just if you don't have any gaps between them, then you can't have a deviation or change its track. So that arrangement which allows the passage of the flange is called as crossings. Okay. So now we'll study various components of the turnouts, that are points, crossings, okay, and other various components of them we'll be studying here. Right. So these are the components of the turnouts. So what was the first definition? The first definition about a turnout was it was the combination of switches and crossings. Okay, that is called as turnout. This whole portion is called as turnout because it is a combination of, okay, it is a combination of points and crossings. Okay, next, what was the second thing we studied? That was the points and crossings. What was points? Points are nothing but they are the combinations or the arrangements of stock rail and the tongue rail. Okay, okay, with other necessary fittings. That is called points. So if you see, can you see this part? B and A, the length between A and B. Okay, the length between A and B. Okay, that is called as stock rail. The main rail or the main track, you can say, as I showed in the diagram, the main track, the portion from the start of the branch and end of the branch. Here it is ending, right, and here it is starting, right? So in between that portion of the main rail is called as stock rail. Okay, it is called as stock rail. And the portion of the rails, right, has been tapered, right, like this. Can you see? It has been tapered, right? Right, the same, this tapered you can see here, right? The tapered portion, that tapered portion or tapered portion, okay, is called as tongue rail. The rails which have a tapering section at one end, okay, that portion is called as tongue rail, right? So you can say that this portion where the combination of stock and tongue rail happens, that is called as points, right? That is called as points. And the devices used to allow the crossing of rails, where will the rails obstructions may occur at this point, right? When you try to move the train in this direction, right, in these directions, this rail that is this perpendicular rail, may try to obstruct it. So for that case, what we have done is we have braked it, right? We have braked that rail and provided a gap here, so that there is a free movement of the train in this curve directions, right? So the arrangement that is made here with the help of the check rail, wing rail, the nose, right, theoretical nose, the actual nose. Okay, so the point where two rails meet, right, the point where two rails meet, that point is called as nose. Okay, that point is now called as nose. Here also they are trying to meet, right, the two rails are meeting, so that is called as tongue or the nose. Okay, it is called as nose. Right, so this is what is this portion where the arrangement is made so that there is no obstructions for the movement of the train. Okay, that is called as crossings. Okay, that is called as crossings. Just keep in mind what is points, what is crossings, what are the stock rails, what are the tongue rails. The wing rail is nothing but the curved rail which is bent perpendicular. Okay, that rail is called as wing rail. Okay, what is check rail now? Check rail is nothing but the rail which is provided inside the main rail. Okay, inside the main rail for the support. Okay, for the support. This is your check rail. This is your check rail. So this is what, this is your main track. Okay, and this portion is your branch track. So understand which is a main track, which is a branch track. And if you see, the branch is branching out on the right side, right? This is your left and this is your right. So this turnout is called as right side turnout. It is called as right side turnout. If the branch was to this side, like this, then it would be a left side turnout. Okay, this is all about the components of the turnouts and what is points and what is crossings. I have tried to explain you in the simplest way. Okay, there will be a notes provided to you and this PPT also will be there with you. If any problem, you can go through it again. Okay, and you can come to me for the once again for the understanding. So we'll try to understand here how this works, right? This arrangement, you can see here this arrangement. Okay, that arrangement, once we push it, there is a gap now. So okay, now it will turn in here like this. Okay, when it is, there is a no gap because it is trying to move on this line. And okay, and when it moves away, you can move it straight here on this line like this. That is how the working goes on. If you see through it, okay, when it touches, when the tongue rail touches to this stock rail, okay, like this, then your train will move in this branch track. Okay, when your the right side tongue rail is touching here like this and providing a gap here, it will move straight. So due to the gap provided, it will move straight or it will turn its direction. This is controlled by whom? By the station master. This is to show the how it changes its direction. Right? If you see through it properly, you will understand. Okay? Next. Now, so there are different types of crossings. Switches are there. So switches is nothing but arrangement made for the just deviating the track. Small deviations provided in the track so that there is change of course in the track. Okay. So the main thing here is, and the most maintaining part of here is your points and crossings also. This we have studied and we'll be studying it in later part, that is the maintenance of the track, which part is a very weak part and has to be maintained properly, that is your points and crossings. So before that we'll try to understand types of crossings. Types of crossing. So these are the types of crossings. First, look at the first picture here. Don't look at the other pictures, just look at this picture. Okay, here there is a main track, right, and there is a another parallel track to it, a main track, right? You can see in that picture, right? There are two parallel tracks moving aside. When we want to deviate our track for one track to the another track which is parallel, right? Okay, that time we will provide a crossing like this. Okay, we will provide a crossing like this. In this case, right, this type of crossing is called crossover crossings. It is called as crossover. You are trying to cross over a track to go to the another track, right? And in this case, the train will approach in only one direction. Sorry for the disturbance. Okay, here the train will move only one direction. If the train is moving in this direction, then from the opposite direction there can't be any other train coming into. So at a time only one train can deviate its path. Okay, so this is what your crossover is. It is used when there are two parallel rails are moving, tracks are moving, and you want to just cross the one track to the, and go to the another track. That time this type of arrangement is been provided. Okay, understood what I'm saying? If you go through the picture you will understand. Okay, now come to the second diagram. Don't look at the other diagrams, just look at the second one. Okay, when in a simple case, if I see there is a main track, right, there is a main track like this, and another track is cutting it at an angle. Okay, I'll show on this the blank page, you will understand. Okay, there is a main track, okay, and at an angle another track is cutting, making in some angle. So here what happens is there is a formation of diamond at the center like this. Okay, so this formation of diamond at the center, so it is named as diamond crossing. Okay, it is called as diamond crossings. Here and a track is trying to cut and cross a track at an angle. Okay, so it is making a diamond shape in the center. Okay, So such type of arrangement is called as diamond crossings. You have to just keep in the mind which type of crossing it is by understanding the diagram, and how it is been provided, whether it is provided when there are parallel lines, when there are crossing cutting at an angle, or there are two parallel lines and two crossings are being provided which are overlapping each other. So these are the various uh, conditions where you are going to provide specific type of crossings. You are not going to provide any type of crossing whichever you want. Depending upon the situations and the conditions, you are going to decide the type of crossings, right? Next one is the three type turnout. Means what? Here, from the one single main line, there are two branch lines. Okay, when there are lot of deviations, these are provided in the junctions. Okay, this is provided in the junctions. And the next one is the fourth one, that is right hand turnout. As I said, when you're turning from the main branch, uh, from the main track to the branch track, which is in the right direction, right hand side, then that turnout or that crossings is called as right hand crossings. Okay, one more is the Y, where where from one track the two tracks are been coming out from the main one track. Okay, the two tracks are coming out like this. Okay, so that is called, that makes a shape of Y, inverted Y, right? So that type of crossing is called as Y crossings. Next one is slip crossings. In this case, you are trying to cross large number of crossings. There are not only one crossing you are going to cross, there are n number of crossings you are going to cross. Okay, that type of crossing is called as slip crossings. So once again, the definition for crossing: it is a device which allows the crossing of rails with each other without causing any obstruction to the flange of the wheel. Okay, and these are the types. So you have to just understand which type of crossing is provided when. Okay, and what are its limitations. Types of crossings. Here nothing but, here there is a definition given. Okay, the crossover are useful for transferring the trains from one rail to the another track which is parallel to each other, as I said, and the train approach is in only one direction. The train can approach in only one direction. You can't allow the two trains to move at a time on the same two parallel lines. So there might be a accidents occurring. Next is diamond shape. Two tracks crossing each other at an angle, making a diamond crossings. Next is scissor one. I have not told you about the scissor, right? So we'll try to explain you this about the scissor. There are two tracks moving parallelly each other. Okay. If I provide a branch like this, what type of it is? It is the first one, that is crossover. Okay. If I provide another crossover which is overlying on the crossover first provided, right? Like this. So when there are, this is the one crossover, and this is the second crossover, which is are the from the main parallel tracks. There are two crossovers. In the first case, it was only one crossover, like this, right? There is only one crossover here. When there are two crossovers overlapping each other, it tried to make a shape of an scissor, or it is also called as double crossings, because there are two crossings, right? One and two. So it is called as double crossings. These are not easy to provide, because there are a lot number of arrangements and devices to be put into, and the maintenance also increases. These are provided in very busy tracks, okay, where there are large number of trains moving every day at per hour. So for that purposes, this, and they are using the heavy busiest junctions. Okay, this is how is the scissor crossing is. The combination of two crossovers overlapping each other provided between the two adjacent parallels, and the train approach is either directions, so also known as double crossings. In the first case, it was the train approach was in the only one directions, but in the case of the scissor crossings or the double crossings, the train approach is from the either directions. You can bring the trains from the either directions, there is no problem over here. Next is level crossings. Here in this picture, you can see where the track, right, and the road are meeting at a point, and they are at the same level. Both are in the same level, right, like this. So when they are at same level, whenever there is a movement of trains, you have to stop the vehicular movement, and whenever there is no train movement, that time you have to allow the access for the vehicular movement. But in the case of the when we are going to allow the vehicular passings, here in the center there is a gap, right, because of the two rails which are higher of 20 centimeters, so there will be a gap. So this gap will be filled like this, so that there is easy movement of the vehicles. You might have seen here also, you can see that the tracks are here, right, tracks are here, there are two tracks, and in between that there is a filling done, so that there is a level surface. The road and the railway track are at the same levels, so that there is easy movement of the vehicles over those tracks, right? And whenever there is a movement of train, you have to stop the vehicular movement. For that purpose, the level crossings are provided. What is level crossings? Itself says that the crossing of the roads and the railway track are at the same level. Okay, that arrangement is called as level crossings, with the guards or without guards. Guards means what? Gates. These gates. Okay, the gates which are provided here. These gates, right? This gate and this gate, which obstructs the movement of the vehicles during the movement of the trains, right? And this is all about the points and crossings.